Today, we are doing a deep dive into the excerpts of the Metallicus Q3 2025 report. And this is not just some routine quarterly update. It's being framed by leadership as something much bigger.
Oh, absolutely. They're calling it a monumental declaration. It marks the end of their first decade and really a shift.
A shift away from what? Exactly.
Away from that whole era of blockchain experimentation and into full regulated institutional deployment.
That context is it's everything, especially for you, the listener, who's been tracking this, often rocky road for digital assets into mainstream finance.
It is. Management literally called Q3 their busiest and most transformative period ever. And that wasn't just about code.
No.
It was engineering, sure, but also these intense regulatory dialogues and, crucially, locking in institutional partnerships.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really get into the mechanics of that. How does a technology like this shed its speculative past and actually become a piece of compliant, mission-critical financial infrastructure? Okay, let's unpack this. Because it feels like the whole report is built on this one core idea that the market itself has fundamentally changed.
It has. They're saying the move from speculation to infrastructure is fully underway, especially, and this is key, in the United States.
So regulated institutions are finally looking at this stuff seriously.
More than seriously. They're actively treating it as core financial plumbing. It's not some, exotic, optional tech anymore.
And is that being driven by the tech itself, or is something else pulling it forward?
It's being pulled by market demand for speed, for auditability, and it's all being accelerated by, clearer regulatory frameworks that are finally starting to take shape.
What's fascinating to me, though, is how they define their own role in all of this. They're very, very clear that they're not here to, tear down the financial system.
Not at all. They explicitly say their mission has never been to replace it.
The mission is to embed blockchain technology inside the existing structure.
And that distinction is crucial. It's the only pragmatic path to real adoption. I mean, if you want high-value institutions to use your tech, you have to work within their world.
So you sell them on enhancement, not revolution.
Exactly. You add the benefits of distributed ledgers, better transparency, cryptographic security, efficiency, but you do it while preserving the things they can't live without.
Trust, compliance, community values, the cornerstones.
Right. You're not selling them a revolution. You're selling them better rails.
But if the goal is embedding, isn't there a huge risk that they just get bogged down by the same slow-moving legacy systems they're trying to improve? How does the report even address that?
Right, that's the tension. It's the absolute heart of their strategy. And they mitigate that risk by focusing on very specific high-utility tools.
So I'm not trying to boil the ocean.
No, they're carving out these super efficient pathways within the existing system. And that leads directly to their ultimate objective, what they call their North Star.
Okay, so what is that definitive objective?
It's really 4 specific functions. 1, compliant stablecoin issuance, so programmable digital currency. 2, real-time digital payments. 3 is seamless cross-institution settlement. And 4, building truly fraud-resistant financial operations. They want to be the foundational rails for regulated players moving high-value assets.
And that focus on specific compliant functions. Well, that takes us right to the biggest proof point in the whole report.
To the credit union sector.
Exactly. The rise of institutionally issued stablecoins, especially among these community institutions, that seems to be the defining theme of Q3. But why credit unions? Why are they leading the charge?
It's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
Credit unions, they represent local community finance. Trust and service are everything.
They're not like the giant money center banks.
Not at all. They often have a mandate to be super efficient, to deliver direct value to members. That makes them more agile, more willing to adopt tech that improves service speed or lowers their operational costs. The report basically holds this up as the proof point for the whole industry.
And the numbers they're reporting, they're pretty hard to ignore. Over 15 U.S. credit unions now have stablecoins active in the Metallicus test environment.
15 institutions in an active test environment. That's a huge signal. It tells you this isn't theoretical anymore. It's not in a white paper.
We're talking about practical member-facing deployments.
That's right. These credit unions aren't just dipping a toe in the water. They are getting ready to use these assets to serve their communities.
And the milestone for that whole movement in Q3 was the launch of it's CLDUSD.
Issued by St. Cloud Financial Credit Union.
Right. So let's talk about the significance of that one launch.
CLDUSD is the landmark. The report frames it as the first fully member-facing stablecoin on their platform. But you have to think of it as more than just a coin.
It's a template.
It's a production-grade template. It proves to regulators and to the whole financial community that a community institution can compliantly issue a fully backed, auditable digital dollar on shared infrastructure.
Yeah.
It de-risks the entire process for those other 15 credit unions.
That really does change the conversation. So once you have a successful template like that out in wild, what kind of future applications does that unlock? It can't just be about simple payments.
No, it unlocks the next generation of financial pilots. And these are far more ambitious. Because the infrastructure has, guaranteed identity and these immutable audit trails, its utility just expands dramatically.
So what are we talking about?
We're now seeing pilots being shaped around things like digital identity management, serious fraud prevention, which is a massive cost for these institutions.
Wait, let's pause on that. Fraud prevention. How is using a blockchain for CLDUSD actually safer than, say, a normal ACH transfer?
It really comes down to the nature of a distributed ledger. With the old systems, you have all these siloed databases, right? Fraud happens when information is reconciled too slowly or just incorrectly. By issuing a digital dollar on this platform, the currency itself is cryptographically linked to a verifiable digital identity. The transaction history is recorded instantly, immutably, and transparently.
With an unregulated permissioned view, of course.
Of course, it just shrinks the surface area for common types of fraud. And management says this template is the precursor to a much larger interoperable network of these community-issued digital dollars. They expect it to scale up dramatically in 2026.
An interoperable network of community digital dollars. So that implies these different digital currencies will be able to talk to each other.
Precisely.
So a member at St. Cloud could transact seamlessly with a member of a credit union, say, 3 states over.
Exactly. And if they can nail that seamless interoperability, it just crushes the friction and cost for every single member across that entire network. It gives them a real competitive edge against the bigger commercial banks.
This shift to live deployment, though, it requires some serious engineering. Which brings us to the engine room, right? The core tech powering this institutional move. You can't just host 15 credit unions on some regular crypto chain.
That's the critical point.
Yeah.
You absolutely can't. You need a rock-solid settlement and compliance foundation, and that is the explicit role of Metal Blockchain.
Okay.
The report really stresses this. This isn't just another open-source protocol. It's positioned as a multi-layered tech stack that is purpose-built for regulated financial institutions.
No room for the uncertainty of retail speculation.
Zero tolerance for it.
What does multi-layered stack actually mean functionally?
It means they designed separate, integrated layers for different institutional jobs. So one layer handles the core accounting and ledger stuff, another handles identity and programmable keys through WebAuth, and a third layer has all the hooks for regulatory and compliance reporting.
So it's designed from the ground up to make auditors happy, not just app developers.
It's designed to satisfy auditors and regulators first. And Q3 gave us an early glimpse at the next massive phase of this infrastructure, which is the development of PulseVM.
Okay, this is a big one for our listeners who follow the underlying tech.
PulseVM is the evolution of their core enterprise tech.
You see a new financial system taking shape in the United States. Regulation is aligning. Institutions are updating. And Metallicus is already built for this moment. It starts with compliance. A blockchain engineered on KYC, AML, and BSA standards. Built inside U.S. rules, not around them. Real adoption is live. Credit unions, banks, and partners across the country are already issuing their own digital dollars. Underneath it all sits A-Chain and PulseVM, a virtual machine made for banking workloads. Metallicus becomes the first blockchain connecting directly to FedNow, creating an instant settlement bridge for U.S. finance. It also becomes the banking layer for Ethereum, powering compliant fiat to crypto access. Then, the full stack comes together. Identity, compliance, stablecoins, APIs, wallets, lending, everything. This is why Metallicus isn't chasing number one. It's already acting like it.
And the goal here is to remove those final technological hurdles for high-frequency financial institutions. If Metal Blockchain is the structure, PulseVM is the optimized motor running inside it.
We need to get specific here. They're using terms like banking grade and ultra-high throughput. What does that actually mean for a banking workload?
Well, it really refers to two things: finality and reliability. When a bank or a credit union makes a settlement, they need immediate guaranteed finality, not seconds, not minutes. Now,
And PulseVM is engineered for that.
it's engineered for deterministic execution and that ultra-high throughput. It means it can process institutional-level settlement volumes in real time, reliably. For an institution, banking grade isn't a marketing buzzword.
Right.
It means the system is built to support the same level of auditing, resilience, and security that, FINRA or other regulators require for their legacy systems.
So it's about making the transaction environment as predictable and as auditable as a traditional mainframe system.
But with the speed and efficiency of a modern distributed ledger.
I see.
It's built for that always-on nature of global finance.
Yeah.
And PulseVM is expected to be the central tech that underpins their biggest institutional deployments coming in 2026. Uptime and guaranteed settlement volumes will be completely non-negotiable.
Okay, that picture is incredibly clear. You have the proven use case, these compliant stablecoins with credit unions, and you have the purpose-built tech metal blockchain and PulseVM scaling up to handle it. So now, let's shift to the company's forward strategy, their roadmap for the next 12 months. Management's tone for 2026 is, and I'm quoting here, unambiguously optimistic.
Well, they believe they're positioned right at the center of this huge structural shift. And that optimism, it translates into 5 very clear strategic priorities for 2026.
And this shows the pivot, right, from just testing things to running actual live business operations.
This is the blueprint for how they plan to monetize that decade of R&D.
Okay, so walk us through the first couple of those priorities.
Priority 1 is all about scaling the credit union stablecoin network. So moving beyond those initial 15 pilots and creating that fully interconnected, interoperable network of digital dollars we talked about.
Which increases the value for everyone on the network.
Exactly. Then, priority 2 is strengthening regulatory alignment. And this is a massive commitment. It means deepening relationships across U.S. policy circles, with compliance teams, with financial supervision communities.
This isn't just about meeting the minimum requirements.
No, this is about proactively helping to shape the future regulatory environment to make sure it's built for maximum safety and scale.
That regulatory focus, though, it seems so important. But doesn't that sometimes slow down technological development? Is there a trade-off there?
There's always a trade-off between speed and certainty. Always. But for enterprise adoption, certainty wins every single time.
Okay.
By embedding themselves in that regulatory process, they gain the trust they need for that large-scale adoption. And that feeds directly into priority 3, enterprise-ready blockchain infrastructure.
This is where PulseVM comes back in.
This is where Metal Blockchain and PulseVM graduate from robust development systems into fully production-grade, reliable systems ready for daily use by the world's largest financial players.
And what about the last 2 priorities?
Priority 4 is expanding WebAuth and MetalX. These are the tools that handle secure identity, key management, that cross-chain interaction. They want to integrate these secure identity layers into a broader set of institutional use cases.
So moving beyond just stablecoins.
Right, into areas like asset tokenization and maybe even institutional DeFi.
And the final one, priority 5. This seems like the one that really defines their long-term business. It's about revenue.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Priority 5 is growing recurring revenue.
Yeah.
And this is the clearest sign that the business is maturing. They are explicitly shifting their business model away from pilot-driven revenue.
So getting paid once for a proof of concept.
Exactly, to a model driven by ongoing live institutional payment flows. They want to get paid based on the actual utility and usage of the rails themselves.
That shift from pilot revenue to usage fees, that fundamentally changes their valuation model, doesn't it? It moves them from being a tech vendor to more of a financial services provider.
It does. Pilot revenue is lumpy, it's finite. Recurring utility revenue gives you predictable, scalable growth. If CLDUSD scales and the other 14 credit unions go live, their income becomes directly proportional to the volume of compliant money moving across their network.
So this confirms the final message of the whole report, that the digital asset market is moving from speculation to real quantifiable utility.
And Metallicus is betting that they're uniquely positioned to be the compliant rails connecting community finance directly to these new blockchain-based payments.
They're essentially betting that community finance will adopt this infrastructure before the big commercial banks even get off the starting block.
That is the core bet. And they expect 2026 to be the year it pays off. More live institutional deployments, a surge in stablecoin issuers, broader adoption of PulseVM, and real, measurable growth in usage across payments, settlement, and identity verification.
So what does this all mean? The core takeaway for you, the listener who's been tracking this sector, is that regulated financial institutions, they're not just talking about blockchain's potential anymore. They are actively integrating it for efficiency and compliance, and they're doing it right now. The industry has moved past the stage of just theoretical proofs of concept. We are now squarely in the realm of live, revenue-generating institutional integration.